everybody in Web3 keeps saying they want to onboard the next billion users, or everybody wants to re-evolutionize something. But the problem I see with our mindset as crypto natives is that we actually think like crypto natives a lot of the time. So the same people who want to onboard the next billion users, they do not think like those billion users. Let me give you one simple example. Like imagine you have a friend who's pretty tech savvy, who's comfortable with computers and things like that, and he's just new to Web3, and you want to onboard him. So imagine that, you do the biggest chunk of work for him, meaning that, the guy will just go ahead and create MetaMask, and he won't have to on ramp or anything. You just help him out by sending him some USDT, to his address, so he can go ahead and Uniswap and maybe buy some, I don't know, any token. And, in his shoes, imagine you get those USDT on your account, and you then go ahead to Uniswap. First of all, you can't swap just because you have no gas. Okay, you reach out to your friend, say, I have no gas. Can you please send me some Ethereum? Okay, you send your Ethereum. So now the guy is ready to make a swap. So he will input like maybe 1,000, 500, any amount of USDT to swap to get any token, right? And the UI says approve. What does that mean? Like, if you're the user, are you going to be confused? Of course you will. Like, I know myself for the first time when I did that for a few, maybe not one time, maybe 5 times until I got used to it. There's this always approve button that's looking at me, and I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, there's no other button, right? So I have to press it. I sign transaction. You wait for some time depending on the chain you're on, obviously, and then there's the button called swap. And then, okay, so finally I can swap, and then you have to pay another gas fee. So it's just very not intuitive. And we ourselves, like Web3 natives, we are so used to it. We see no problem with this just because we did it 1 million times. But if you want to onboard those million users, those UX, those small minor UX details, they have to be ironed out. Otherwise, it's going to be a really tough job to onboard them. And I feel like UX is definitely not there. I know everybody keeps saying that. It's just how do we make those dealers ironed out one by one? And I feel like the mindset has to change a little bit to make that onboarding as smooth as possible. But that was just one example. And there are different use cases. Like if we go down the rabbit hole of DeFi, there are so many things you can streamline or automate or just reduce clicks. And that's one of the key things Reactive can be helpful in, is just to reduce amount of clicks needed for the end user, to streamline the whole experience, to make it much more smooth. And that's how we kind of try to provide our value add in solving some of the very prominent UX issues that are plaguing the space.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. I don't know if, like, the example you just gave, for instance, is one of the use cases we've discussed before when it comes to how Reactive Network, for example, could improve that user experience. I don't know if you just want to touch a little bit on how that could actually be streamlined as well, Emilijus.
Yeah, so put simply, once you approve your tokens on the blockchain, it's a solidity-based event. It's an approval event. And as Reactive Network sort of is on-chain events driven, if this and that system, it can actually catch that. Okay, so there's this approval that has just happened. And if there's a reactive contract that has been deployed on Reactive Network that's actually looking for approvals, and it has the embedded logic inside the contract to actually then do the intended transaction, which in this case is a swap, then the end result is that the end user on the front end will see one button that says approve and swap. So the whole flow is then just simplified. And instead of the user having to approve, sign, swap, sign, you just do one click, one sign, and everything else happens under the hood. So Reactive Network catches the approval, processes the logic of a swap, and then calls back the new state back to the same blockchain, back to the same contract, basically. So that's how it actually works. It's a completely on-chain based decentralized way of automating things and streamlining things without changing anything, in any of the origin contracts, basically. Pretty easy way. Our developers have found a way to allow this and enable this for any decentralized application to employ without even having to touch a code of reactive contracts themselves. So it only requires a few changes of code on the original contract and obviously some changes in UI. And you basically get the one-click experience, which again might not seem like a lot for us as experienced users, but if you multiply, a few seconds saved here and there by hundreds, thousands of users, you get a pretty meaningful impact on the whole industry.